Hello, I'm Jay Lerner, the Inspector General for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC. We're pleased to highlight today the outstanding investigations work in our office. Our investigations are influential in leading the way towards maintaining and preserving the integrity of the banking sector, as we focus on high-impact cases that affect the safety and soundness of financial institutions around the country. For example, we investigate complex and sophisticated crimes of money laundering, bank fraud, embezzlement, cybercrime, and other financial misconduct. Unlike many IG offices, we are unique in that we concentrate on external cases, meaning crimes involving banks, bank insiders such as directors, officers, and executives, and other financiers. And many of our cases involve international components and criminal organizations. In the past 5 fiscal years, our investigations have resulted in more than 500 indictments and 380 convictions, and more than $4.5 billion in fines, forfeitures, penalties, and restitution ordered. Also, in recent years, we have invested significantly to develop the capabilities of our electronic crimes unit to make sure that we have the latest cutting-edge technology to examine financial crimes. So we have evolved beyond the traditional forensics functions in order to investigate cybercrimes at banks, including ransomware, hacking, denial of service, and even cryptocurrency offenses. We're working to position ourselves forward-looking for what's on the horizon in the future. In addition, we seek to proactively harness the vast amounts of financial information available. After all, so much of the banking data is dollars and cents, bits and bytes, zeros and ones. Therefore, we are working to develop our data analytics capabilities to use this information in ways to identify red flag indicators of complex fraud schemes, systemic weaknesses, and cybersecurity threats. In short, we aim to utilize technology to see things in the big data that the human eye cannot ordinarily detect. Joining me here today are Matt Alessandrino, our Assistant Inspector General for Investigations, and 2 of our special agents in charge, Patty Tarasca from our New York office and Kyle Miles from our Atlanta office.
Thank you, Jay. We are very proud of the work our special agents, whose unique expertise has contributed to significant results over the past few years. Our agents are located in 7 regions across the country, as well as our electronic crimes unit in 2 satellite offices in Los Angeles and South Florida. Our special agents have full statutory law enforcement authority as 1811s, most having more than 10 years of experience at other federal agencies, and many having backgrounds in accounting and finance. Our agents have extensive knowledge of banking and bank records and are highly skilled at handling document-intensive cases. Our investigators regularly coordinate and collaborate with federal, state, and local authorities, such as the FBI, IRS Criminal Investigation, Homeland Security Investigation, as well as our fellow OIGs. We frequently partner with U.S. Attorneys' offices in numerous judicial districts throughout the country, as well as are working closely with many divisions and sections at Main Justice. Also, we participate in many interagency task forces around the country. As an example, when the CARES Act went into effect in March 2020, it created the Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP. Working with our law enforcement partners, we focused on investigating PPP cases where borrowers were fraudulently trying to steal funds from the government guaranteed loan program, which really intended to help those most in need during this pandemic. Since the PPP program was administered through our nation's banks, it affected the safety and soundness of these financial institutions. In fact, we investigated the first case of PPP fraud in the country in Rhode Island just weeks after the program was started. And since that time, in the last year and a half, our investigations have, thus far, resulted in more than 110 indictments and complaints and 40 convictions. Also, we remain vigilant to look out for pandemic-related fraud schemes involving bank insiders, financial technology services, international elements, and criminal organizations. 2 of our special agents in charge, Kyle Miles and Patty Tarasca, will highlight a few case examples of our recent accomplishments.
Thanks, Matt. As Matt mentioned, Many of our recent cases have stemmed from pandemic-related fraud. One case in particular involves several individuals who orchestrated a complex fraud scheme to illegally obtain $24 million in COVID-19 relief money. The defendants manufactured synthetic identities by using the personal and financial information of real people, and then used the new identities to open fraudulent bank and credit card accounts. Years before the pandemic, the defendant and his co-conspirators used complex computer data storage and virtualization machines to manufacture these synthetic identities. Another case involved a defendant who submitted multiple PPP loan applications to financial institutions, claiming to have had dozens of employees and millions of dollars in monthly payroll. In total, he received about $3.9 million in PPP loans and used the funds in part to purchase a Lamborghini luxury car. In May 2021, the defendant was sentenced to more than 6 years in prison for his role in the PPP fraud scheme. Also, in another interesting case, a Washington state man defrauded Tyson's Foods, Inc. and another company. He did so by charging the companies for the purchase of hundreds of thousands of cattle that did not actually exist. As a result, Tyson and the other company paid the defendant over $244 million, representing the purchase and feed cost of the non-existent, or ghost cattle as it's called. In August 2021, the defendant pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud. And now, we'll hear from Patty Taraska, the special agent in charge of our New York office.
Thanks, Kyle. We have been working on a number of cases involving foreign currency exchange manipulation. Such cases have involved traders at banks colluding to manipulate prices for the benefit of the bank and their own bonuses. In one case, 3 traders at banks conspired to manipulate prices on an electronic FX trading platform by creating illegitimate trades, colluding on bids and offers, and agreeing on prices quoted to customers. In this case, the 3 traders were convicted and a financial institution agreed to pay a criminal fine of $90 million. Our office also investigated a former chief executive officer and chairman of a now bankrupt multinational pharmaceutical company. The defendant orchestrated a scheme to defraud Western Bank in Puerto Rico by causing employees to make tens of millions of dollars worth of fake customer invoices, which caused Western Bank to lend the company approximately $142 million. The defendant used these funds for his own personal benefit and was ultimately sentenced to 30 years in prison. The court determined that these losses caused the eventual insolvency and collapse of Western Bank. These are just a few of our many successes over the past few years. Back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Kyle, Patty, and Matt, for highlighting our extraordinary accomplishments and ongoing initiatives. As a former prosecutor, I know how important it is to have strong, experienced, knowledgeable agents working on cases, especially ones that are familiar with handling financial data and bank documents. And our results speak for themselves. For information about our office, please visit our website at FDICOIG.gov. And remember, if you suspect fraud, waste, abuse, or misconduct within FDIC programs and operations, contractor services, or at FDIC banks, please contact our hotline at the same website and click on the red box in the upper right corner. And you can follow us on Twitter at FDIC_OIG. Thank you for joining us today.